Hey everyone, welcome back to AtroKraft. Today we're heading back into Factorio to look at a system I call Decoupled Transport Buses. The goal of this system is to centralize collection while decoupling train unloading from production entirely. It's primarily for ores, but it works just as well for other bulk items. This is going to be another unscripted tutorial style video, and I'm going to walk through how the system works, why I built it this way, and where it makes sense to use it. So without any more delay, let's dive in and take a look. Okay, we're back today in my little test area here, taking a look at a design that I made. I call it the Decoupled Transport Bus, and the point of it is to take several different inputs to be able to mix them. So this train, these train stations are all labeled the same, so they all function as the same station, right? So I have a bunch of simulated mines on this side that all load trains from various ores. Those trains then come and dump into any one of these stations, and it's all collectively dumped onto this this is 32 lanes of a transfer bus here, and then it all comes down around and is sorted out here. So you can see these are all set with filters, all set right here at the constant combinator. And they pull off specific items which are then dumped into storage here. So by doing this, you can effectively decouple the mining and collecting of ore from the processing of it. So that means you can just, set up a station like this, go out and collect all the ore you can, get into a point where these numbers here are to a point where you like them, right? Let's see, I have 4 of these, so pretty much that one's at 100%, 110, so about 26, 27% full on iron ore, right? So what that would do is gives you a lot of leeway to go out and collect ores and have a massive buffer here to protect yourselves against shortages and all that. So let's dive into exactly how this works. You can see by the end, nearly everything is being pulled off. With only some very few exceptions, but it's holmium ore on the end, uranium, coal, stone, copper, and iron. Okay. So we went over the train network here. Really nothing special here. I believe there are 3 trains per ore type. And down here, these stations are all being monitored for how much, what percentage of full these chests are. And I believe, let's see what I have this set to. Yeah, so if it goes over 80%, it will shut off until it drops down to 20% and then allowed to fill back up again. And that's just to avoid any kind of situation where all the chests are full, right? So we come down, we have the belt balancer here, which is important because I believe the center ones draw a little faster than the outside ones, just because of these. You see these substations are here to power the entire thing. And the belts come through the center and then loop back around and up to handle any kind of excess here. And I'm prioritizing the belts that come back on the loop just to keep the loop flowing through and keep these belts moving. So if, you know, one of these perpendicular bus belts is full, then, you know, just keep moving through and finally get to a point where it can be unloaded. If you notice, so these inserters, and this happens anytime you try to insert onto a belt that's perpendicular to the inserter, but it always puts it on the top side. And actually, I'm not sure. Let's just experiment for a second here, because I'm not sure what happens if it goes in the other direction, but oh, come on, power. Really? There we go. Now we'll set this to... yeah. So see, that's always going to place on the right-hand side if you go that way, and then the top side for the horizontal unloader. So that necessitates these mixers. I don't know exactly what you would call these, but they prioritize the bottom side, right? So everything starts out being dumped onto the top side. These automatically try to shove everything to the bottom side, but the top side acts as a relief. So if it's full, and we'll see that down here. See, any of these that are full on the bottom side, it starts dumping onto the top. So it's always going to prioritize the bottom side, and as it comes into the next ore type or next station, it'll be able to unload to the top if there is any room on that belt, on that, you know, specific area at all. So then come around, and it's the same thing with unloading. With unloading, we can't have two belts next to each other. It has to be just one, because it'll, you know, it needs to unload onto the far side of the belt, and each side does that, right? So this is just 2 rows staggered here and here as well. Same thing, we come onto this side, balance everything just so it's balanced going into the warehouses here. And yeah, 2 rows of warehouses. This is a mod, obviously. It's not in the vanilla game, but if you were so inclined, you could just have these as vanilla chests and have several rows of these. You know, I think it could actually fit the same blueprint, same footprint, right? It would just be, let's see, inserter, chest, inserter, chest, inserter, chest, inserter, chest, right? And then the same there. So that would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of chests and inserters. And then you have to go through the process of linking all those together, and then doing the math here to get the percentage. The Nixie tubes are also, this is also a mod, very useful. You know, in Factorio, some of these mods are just, you know, they're, to me, they're not optional after playing the game for quite a while here. So yeah, then the way I have these belts set up is to try to get a constant flow of 4 belts on each side. And you'll see here where it unloads. Yeah, that one's full. So again, the inserters fill on the opposite side of the belt always, and by taking it down and around and up, it handles both sides of the belt on one side here, and then combines. Then this is one belt here, another. So these 4, or these 2 come from this side and those 2 from the other side. So 4 supplying down to here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 from this bottom section, for a total of 8. So this warehouse setup will be able to feed 8 belts continually, providing there's adequate amount of input or in the warehouses themselves, right? So yeah, that's that. This is a great system. I kind of came up with this while I was playing the Bobs and Angels mod, just because they have so many different kinds of ores, and to try to do each of them together, the game almost forces you to come up with something like this to make it all work. So these are stacked inserters. Let me go ahead and simulate if they were just the, what are they called? Bulk inserters. So if I change this to 1, then all of these inserters will only start pulling 1 off, and we'll start to see, yeah, there it is. We'll start to see this fill up a lot more. So say you wanted to do this before you had integrated stack inserters yet, this would kind of be the results. And you could have this at, any scale, really. You could double this and have 64 belts just as easily. It becomes a pain sometimes trying to figure out where to fit these substations in to get this really, to cover the power needs of all of these inserters, but not something you can't figure out for sure. Now, if you notice, all of these have filters, right? And the filters are set by the circuit network to read all the items that are on the belt currently. So hold all belts. And that's just, when you set to hold all belts, that it puts these rails up, and then it reads from the entire belt all the way through until it reaches another splitter or endpoint, or and the purpose of that is so these stack inserters will try to pick up a full stack before will dump it down, and if it doesn't have the whole stack, it just holds on to it, right? So say I have one ore that comes here and there's just a few stragglers left on here, right? Like these copper. I guess there's actually some chromium ore on there too. I don't know really how much of it is there, but if we get to the point where it actually goes off of the belt and there is no more chromium ore on there, then all those stack inserters that only have a certain, partial stack on them where it will dump all at once. Yep, there. You see it just went away and came back. Actually, oh, yep, there's different ore. There's iron now, too. Same thing over here. It's just wrapping up its cycle of iron. We'll get to a point where there's none of it in the red section, which is just the center section here, right? Between the belt balancers and the end here. And then when it comes to this belt that goes back around, that's when you get to the point where it actually dumps. So yeah. I think if there's anything else to really explain here. What was on this red? Oh. So the trains. If you do set this up, know that if you do set up a train network like this where you have one station being fed by, multiple different kinds of trains, know that this section here between your parking, rails here and the stations themselves, this is going to be your number one bottleneck. That's why I have 3 here. So I have 4 parking rails tied into 2 stations. And that way when the trains come in, they'll pick a parking rail that matches that station they're actually being assigned to go to. And, sometimes they'll stack up here, and that's why I have the train limit setting over on this side to kind of play around with how that train limit determines how many trains can be incoming and set to a certain individual station. So if you say I select one of these, see it already knows what station it wants to go to, even back in the parking rail. So each one of these have stations that are pre-assigned and they're waiting for that one to open up. I wish it was, such a way where it would park in this parking rail and then wait for any open station, but it does not work that way. It sets its routes beforehand. Same with these, right? Have to, yep. So these only have one station that they go to, so of course it's assigned to there, but I'm speaking specifically to the drop-off station, which is all common. And that's that. This is a reset kind of circuit here, which is a real great circuit to know. If the check, while you activate, I'm activating the train station here based off that check mark, and also the light here to indicate if it's on or off, and then these decider combinators just set the color from green to red. But the thing is, if the value goes over 80, it will, if it goes under 20, it will set and it will run until it's up to 80, then shut off and remain off until it's all the way back down to 20 again. So that gives you a level of hysteresis, I don't know how many of you know that term, but it just kind of means a buffer in the duty cycle that allows you to have things go up to a level and then come back down to a different level instead of just bouncing up and down over one level like it would if I only had one set point here. Like say I just had this to 50, it would go to 51, shut off, come down to 49, turn back on again. Where that's not really desirable right here. Okay, that's going to be it for today. Thanks everyone for coming in and checking out my design. Hope everyone got something out of it, and if you think of any creative uses for this, please let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear them. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button because it really does help to grow the channel. All right, everyone, thanks, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.